Hello, mathematicians. Welcome to Number Corner. For Number Corner today, we will be working with our calendar grid. Today, we are going to turn around all the calendar markers for the 7th set, April 25th through 28th. As we turn over our markers, I'll give you some things that you could be thinking about. Let's have a look at our first one. What do you notice about the markers? What do you think the next marker will be? What are you noticing? You may be noticing a few different things. You may be noticing a garden bed, another circular garden bed. Show a connection if you remember seeing a circular garden bed before. Yeah, we had one in another set earlier this month. Show a connection if you notice the flowers growing up here. Show a connection if you're thinking, well, that's 1/4 of our circular garden bed. Show another connection if you saw our 4 different equal sections. You may have noticed a few other things too. Now I want you to make a prediction about what our next marker will be. Put that prediction in your head. Let's see if we're correct. Is this what you thought the garden bed would look like? Thumbs up or thumbs down. Take a moment to look at this garden bed. What's different between our two garden beds? How many sections is each garden bed split into? Show a connection if you're thinking 4 sections and 3 sections. That's correct. We have 4 equal parts of our garden bed on this marker and 3 equal parts of our garden bed on this marker. Each garden bed is still showing 1 section of flowers. Which garden bed has a bigger section of flowers? This one over here, or this one here for the 26th? If you're thinking for the 26th, that's good thinking. We have less sections, so each one's a little bit bigger. Now make your next prediction for what our calendar marker for the 27th will look like. Let's see if you're correct. Is this what you were thinking? Is it getting easier to make your predictions when we see more of our markers in the set? Now start thinking a little more about what's the same, what's different, how many sections do you see? How is the size changing for each section? Are you noticing that the sections are getting bigger? Show a connection if you can see that. Yeah, that's a great noticing. As we have less sections in our garden bed, the bigger each section can be. We have 2 sections on this day, 3 on the 26th, and 4 on the 25th. Knowing that, how many sections do you think we'll have on our next day? Can you make a prediction? Put it in your head. Let's see if you're right. Is this what you thought our garden bed would look like today? Thumbs up or thumbs down. Today, the whole garden bed is planted with flowers. Let's look back at all of our calendar markers for this set and think about our fractions that we see. Thinking about the flowers. So let's first look at the 25th. Remember, when we write fractions, we have two numbers separated by a line. The number on the bottom will show me how many parts we have altogether. And the number on the top, the numerator, will tell me how many parts we're talking about. If I'm looking at our first marker on the 25th, show me on your fingers how many parts of our garden bed we see. I should see 4 fingers. Yes, we see all 4 parts of the garden bed. But they're not all filled with flowers. How many parts are filled with flowers? Show me your fingers. Just 1. So we have 1/4 or 1/4. How about on our second calendar marker? How many parts? Show me your fingers. I should see 3. That's our denominator. Our number on the bottom shows me 3 parts. How many parts are flowers? I should see 1 finger again, still just 1 part flowers. How about on the 27th? What number should I put on the bottom, our denominator? How many parts? 2. 2 parts altogether. And I hope you're thinking 1 part is flowers. How about on the 28th? How many parts? I should see 1 finger, just 1. And 1 part is flowers, the whole part. Now that we've made some observations and explored our fractions, let's write our observations on our calendar grid for today. All right, let's think first about our whole or our set. Are we talking about one big item that we're breaking up into smaller equal pieces, or many items that make up a set? Whole or set? What do you think? Show a connection if you're thinking this is a whole. One whole item we've broken into smaller pieces. Yeah, that's good thinking. This is a whole. We have one whole garden bed in every marker. What changes is how many parts it's broken into. Let's think about how many parts we have in each one. How many parts do we have on the 25th? Hold up your fingers. Oh, 4 parts. I should see 4 fingers. And the next one, how many fingers? How many parts? Show me 3 fingers, 3 parts. The 27th? 2 fingers for 2 parts. And the 28th, how many fingers for how many parts? Just 1 part. Now let's look at those observations we've already had. On the first marker, on the 25th, we can see that there are flowers, like we said, in 1/4 of the garden bed. 3/4, the other 1, 2, 3 parts are empty. On the 26th, like we said, 1/3 of the garden bed has flowers, but now 2 parts or 2/3 of the bed is empty. On the 27th, half of the garden bed has flowers. The other half is empty. Remember, 1/2 plus 1/2 makes 1 whole. And on the 28th, the garden bed is whole, and the whole thing is growing flowers. Now that we've looked at our set of calendar markers, we have an extra challenge problem today to wrap up our calendar grid for April. We're going to work with a set of triplets to think more about thirds. Here's our problem. Here are the triplets, Abby, Brissa, and Carrie. They are planning to build a rectangular raised garden bed, well, kind of like our friend Raphael at the beginning of the month. They want to divide their bed into 3 equal parts or thirds, so they can each plant their favorite vegetable. Right now, they are making their plans on paper. They are getting very frustrated because they can't figure out how to divide a rectangle into thirds. Abby, when folding her rectangle, folded it in half. Well, we get halves, like this. That's not thirds. Then Brissa, when folding her rectangle, folded it in half again. Well, then we get fourths. Either way we fold it. We tried a couple of different ways, but we always get 4 parts instead of 3. Now Carrie, she thought if she folded the rectangle 3 times, she would get thirds. But she got eighths instead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts. They want to know if we can help them. If they can't divide a rectangle into equal parts, how are they going to divide their raised garden bed into thirds? Well, now it's your turn to give it a try. Here's what you'll need. You will need a piece of paper. It can be a piece of printer paper, a piece of notebook paper, a piece of construction paper, any piece of paper that is a rectangle. That means 4 sides. The opposite sides are equal, like a piece of notebook paper. You're going to try to fold this paper into 3 equal parts. When you're finished, you're going to show your teacher how you folded the paper. It might be a good idea to draw lines on your folds so your teacher can see the folds really well to see if you have 3 equal parts. You will show your teacher your folded paper and share some more observations about our last set of calendar markers in Seesaw. Time to get to work, mathematicians, and I'll see you next time for Number Corner.